somebody can look at it and say that is stripping. So what is the difference between the two, per se?
Oh, okay, cool. So with you said, so I'm gonna answer the question, the difference between stripping and pole dancing. Okay, cool. Because men are generally naturally strong, and pole dancing does require, okay, you don't require strength. I just want to sort of not, but you do need to get stronger. That, okay, yoga is also not just moving your body and being flexible. Yeah, it's not, but there's so much more. Like, they teach you about breath work. It teaches you about being present. It teaches you about consciousness, and it also teaches you about like the oneness of everything. So like, it's, yeah.
Welcome to another episode of Sounds Good Enough. Today I have someone who will be teaching us a bit about pole dancing, for pole culture. Her name is Katli. For the people who are watching, would like to know, who is God?
That's a very loaded question.
It is.
Where would you like me to start?
Just yourself. I think maybe just express, like, if like someone wanted to go to your Instagram and look at your profile, they wouldn't instantly catch, like, this is something that you are, like what you like what you say now, like you used to be an accountant. I didn't think. Yeah, I used to be an accountant.
It's in my past life.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm Katli, and yeah, prefer to be called Katli, but if you have to shorten my name, it's Katli for short, not Kat. So I am from a very small village in Brits, small town in the northwest, not far away from Pretoria. Yeah, so then that's where I was born and raised.
Okay.
And then I moved up to Johannesburg to go study at UJ. I did study accounting. Then I did the whole corporate thing, did articles and all of that. And I didn't like it. I didn't find it fulfilling. And I started pole dancing in 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been at it. Eh?
I've been.
Yeah.
But then COVID happened. And so 2020, I didn't do any of that. But anyways, and then I was doing it as a hobby while working, basically. And I really, really liked it. And I think I do have a passion for movement. I have a passion for wellness and fitness. And then I think, it's that just finding a hobby and doing something that you like that really brought me to a place of realization that actually I think this is what I want to do with my life. And then I subsequently quit corporate last year, being 2023. And then, yeah, so I'm still trying to find my way. So now I have a studio in Campton Park called Pole Culture. And then, so that's what I do on a full-time basis. I'm a pole dance instructor as well. Also a calisthenics athlete, and I'm a yoga instructor. So, and a health coach. So I just recently gotten my certification.
So all
in health
things
coaching.
health, basically.
Yeah, health, fitness, movement, wellness, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay, you said it's a loaded question, but you killed it. Yeah? You were just
Thank you. It's just, you never know when to start, what to say, what to leave out. Yeah.
But let's actually get into pop culture. Like, I think you did mention when it started, but like, what is like your main? What is it about? Just
okay. So then, okay. So this is how I got into pole dancing. Back in varsity, I saw Rihanna's music video, Pour It Up. And she has like pole dancers doing really cool stuff on the pole. And I think I saw one of the girls was like, what looked like she was walking on air. And I was like, oh my God, that looks so cool. I'd like to do that sometime. I had no idea that it was a form of workout, to be honest. So then in 2019, I was on secondment. So I did my articles and audit. So we usually do this. I don't know if they do it anymore, but then you go overseas on secondment to, So then I was in New York, and then I happened to be on this corridor. I don't even remember why I was there. I just remember I was outside of a pole dance studio, and then I saw the post and I was like, oh, there's that thing I said I wanted to do, and then I did, yeah. So then I tried out, I loved it, and then came back to South Africa. And, I was like, the first thing I'm going to do is find a pole dance studio, which I did. And yeah, so then I realized, then as I got into it, I realized that, damn, this is a workout. Like you have to, well, you don't have to be strong, but obviously, if you want to progress, you need to work on your strengths. And then another element of it was flexibility. And yeah, so it's quite multidisciplinary, but my problem was it's very white dominated. So yeah, it's a very white dominated hobby or sport. And yeah, I found that sometimes that being the only Black girl sometimes in class, I'd feel out of place and yeah, not quite fitting in. I mean, the ladies are lovely, but it's not the same. I don't know. Yeah, you know what I mean?
You want some melanin.
Yeah, you want someone that you sort of can relate to on just outside of the sport, you know. So I think from there on, it really became like a passion of mine to sort of rope in more Black girls into it, more brown girls into it. And then, yeah, so obviously, so then, I don't even know. So yeah, so amongst the other things, I started this community, a pole dance community for melanated girls called Pole Society with a group of friends that I made at the studio, the Black girls, where we had sort of like the same thing where we felt like we had similar frustrations and we could get along. And it's like, it would be cool to just hang out together and pole to music we like, if we have to play amapiano, then it's like we can just play amapiano. If it's hip hop, if it's, that kind of like a little bit more of a genre, a little bit of genre that we are sort of used to, as opposed to listening to, I don't know, Britney or Taylor Swift all the time. Just like, no, bruh. So then we started a group, Pole Society, and then the dream was to eventually get a studio. I think, like I said, when I was making my transition from corporate into the space, I did dream of having my own pole studio. And then, yeah, so then I think one time when I was still working, I used to think about it a lot, actually. Like, in the office, I just always come up with ideas. And then the name pole culture
came up.
Yeah, it came up because, when you talk about culture, for me, I always think of like something that represents Black people. It's about the culture and it's about making it a cultural practice for Black people, normalizing it. Do you know what I mean? Because it has so many benefits, like pole dancing. Like I said, when I started, I didn't think it was such a strong practice. And since in my journey, I really have grown to love myself more. I've fallen in love with my body. I think I've gained a greater appreciation for my body because it shows me what my body can do, and what my body is capable of doing if I practice and I practice and I practice. You know what I mean? So it really has done a lot for my own self-esteem and my confidence. And I really want more brown girls to feel more confident in their own skin because growing up, I think you look at magazines, it's always like a very Eurocentric look, like the standards of beauty is quite Eurocentric. You know what I mean? It's just about trying to get more sisters to really fall in love with their bodies, love their bodies, and start seeing what their bodies are capable of doing. So then that's where the whole idea of getting the Pole Society as a community, and also pole culture as a studio that aims to have more inclusivity and diversity, and representation, especially for non-white groups. Yeah.
Okay. So understanding, African culture, right? And also just some things people don't necessarily understand, which is also pole dancing. Somebody can look at it and say that is stripping. So what is the difference between the two, per se?
Oh, okay, cool. So, so with you say, so I'm going to answer the question, the difference between stripping and pole dancing. Okay, cool. So
in the African context, because like an older person who would look at that and think like,
so that's also another reason why we started the community, and like I want to rope in more people to normalize it. That's why I said cultural practice, but we do understand like in terms of like the stereotypes around it, right? So I will start with saying what is the difference between the two, and then if I do not come back to the cultural perspective, then please just remind me.
Sorry.
I tend to lose my train of thought when I talk. But basically, so pole dancing as we know it is birthed from the stripper culture. So it's birthed from strippers, you know. There are people who want to sort of remove the stripper element of it from pole dancing, and they want to attribute it to something called malakam, which is a practice that they do on a very huge pole in India. And some of the pole tricks or moves we have resembles that of this malakam practice or Chinese pole, which is usually done in like circus, but people are usually very clothed. But the pole dancing we know, even like the person that actually introduced it to the public as a form of a hobby or a sport was a stripper, right? I think in the late 80s, early 90s. So pole dancing as we know it is birthed from strip dancing, right? And then, but like I said, it's a strong practice, right? So just because I pole dance doesn't necessarily mean I'm a stripper, and vice versa.
Sure.
Right. The two can be, I could be a stripper and a pole dancer, but it's not necessarily the case. And I think especially in South Africa, I haven't been to a lot of strip clubs, but the ones I've been to, and I've been to one also in Accra in Ghana, the girls just generally walk around the pole and then they start taking their clothes off and they get naked. That's stripping.
It's not necessarily.
It's not pole. It's not getting on the pole because that's different. But there are girls who can do it and who do it in strip clubs, who get on the pole and they do the crazy stuff. And then they still take off their clothes because it's all one and the same thing in the strip club. But you can do it like, they're not mutually exclusive, right? So you can do one or the other. It doesn't necessarily mean it's one thing, right? So when someone is doing pole dancing, it
doesn't mean they're also a stripper.
It doesn't mean that they're a stripper. And just because you're a pole dancer doesn't mean you could just go be a stripper. I think I always say like being a stripper requires, I don't know, for me, I don't think I have the confidence, and I don't think I have what it takes. I don't think it's an easy thing actually to just go and dance in front of people and get naked. A lot of people have insecurities, especially women. We have, things
with your body,
with our bodies. We're very conscious. We're very self-conscious. So some people won't even wear shorts in public. So now you have to like literally strip all the way to coochie out and titties out. It's different. I think I imagine it to be difficult. For me, if you had to give me a pole and say pole dance, I could do it. But if you say it's strip, I probably would freeze. Like I probably wouldn't be able to do it. So I do understand and appreciate why people get the two confused. And I'm not like I don't want to. So initially when I started out as a baby pole dancer, I was also on that like, no, we need to remove the negative stereotype. But honestly, if we do that as pole dancers, we want to remove ourselves from the strippers. It's basically, it's a form of appropriation. Do you know what I mean? We taking it and we want to remove it. And that's not fair. So I do appreciate.
You have to give credits.
You know what I mean? Exactly. We have to give credit. And like I said, the first person to open a pole dance studio was a stripper to open it to the greater public. So if they had not done that, probably the only way you would be able to pole dance would be to become a stripper or to work in the clubs, right? So I'm grateful that I don't have to go that route. If someone wants to go that route, again, no judgment. That's their prerogative. If they're a consenting adult, then they could do it. So I do appreciate why people tend to confuse the two. It does sometimes get very annoying. But yeah, it is what it is. And I think for me, I just got to a point where I enjoy it. And like I said, I always say I'm like, pole dancing has changed my life. It has really given me a sense of meaning and purpose and sort of crystallized what it is that I want to do with my life. Whereas before then, I really didn't have that clear path and vision and boldness, right? So for that reason, that's why I want to share it with more people, right? And hope that they get to benefit from that. And I think a lot of pole dancers all kind of share the same sentiments, even if they didn't go and open their own pole dancing studios, even if they didn't go and become pole dance athletes or instructors or all of the above, even if they just do it as a hobby. Most women talk about how like they're much more confident now because with poles, the poles that we use, because like I said, it's birthed from the stripper club, from the stripper pole dancing. Yeah. They're quite slippery with clothes on. So whether you like, a lot of, even if you're self-conscious, you realize that, okay, cool, I need to be wearing skimpy things for functionality. It's not even about like, oh my God, and no one in class is looking at your body and judging your body. So it's the spaces are generally very, very safe, very accommodating. And
is it only for women?
It's not only for women. There's a lot of people actually a lot of men who do it. And it's quite infuriating because men are generally naturally strong. And pole dancing does require, okay, you don't require strength. I just want to sort of not, but you do need to get stronger in order to progress. Yeah. So, because you're pulling yourself up. So you're pulling your whole body weight up in certain tricks and you're climbing a pole and stuff like that. So because men generally tend to be stronger, they tend to progress so much quicker than women because they're naturally stronger. So there are men who do it. But not a lot, especially not in South Africa. We don't have a lot of men. But
that's why I'm asking.
No, we do. We do have a guy by the name of D. And he is Nigerian, but I think he was born in South Africa or he lives in South Africa.
Does he do it for fun or for...
He competes. He's gone to the Worlds to represent, and he was the first Nigerian to ever participate in the sport altogether. First Nigerian male, first African male. So it's quite impressive. He's very strong, and he does pole dancing, but there isn't a lot of those. I think, I don't know a lot of. There are some men in South Africa, but there isn't a lot. But men can participate. I think the only thing for me, honestly. Sometimes I'm just like, okay, if the guy's not going to be weird in class, because like I said, it's a space where women feel safe. And women do get naked. So like, you can't be just creeping and just like checking women out. You just have to really be there. And I've trained, when I was doing a national competition for pole dancing last year, I trained in the same team with D, and he's a very cool guy. Like, doesn't make you feel uncomfortable. You know what I mean? So I think if a man wants to participate in pole dancing, they would need to be very mindful of that element and sort of like understand that they need to hold space for the women that they're now going to be in the same space with.
Okay. So you also do yoga, right? And calisthenics as well. How does all of this play into bettering your pole dancing?
Okay, cool. So thank you for asking that. So like I said, pole dancing, I always think of pole dancing has changed my life. So what happened? So remember I said that in 2020, I didn't pole at all because everything was shut. Like, you couldn't do, and I didn't have a pole at the time at home. I didn't have my own pole.
Do you have your own pole now?
At the moment, I do. Right. Let me not get it because I was like, I barely use it. I think because now I go to the studio.
Of the studio.
But anyways, so before I had it, and I mean, I was still like quite new, like 6 months into the pole dancing. And then, so then I realized when I started doing pole dancing that, oh my God, I need to work on my strength and I need to work on my flexibility, right? And then when COVID happened and I couldn't do pole dancing anymore, I was low key like stressed on how do I make sure that I build strength and I get flexible, so that whenever, because at the time we didn't know what was going to happen, but I did have hope and trust that one day, like, I'll
Things
be
will
able to
get
pole
back to
dance.
normal.
Yeah, I don't know about back to
Yeah.
normal, but I just knew like one day I'm gonna either get a pole at home
Yeah.
or whatever. But like I'm gonna get back on the pole. Like, for me it was just like it was inevitable. It's like something I wanted so badly. I was just like, no, I need to get back to that thing. So then that's when I started doing some yoga online, found some resources on YouTube. And I started falling in love with the practice. I realized that, okay, yoga is also not just moving your body and being flexible. Yeah, but there's so much more. Like they teach you about breath work. It teaches you about being present. It teaches you about consciousness, and it also teaches you about like the oneness of everything. So like so yoga is the unity of the body, mind, and spirit, but also the unity of you and other beings, be it human beings and plants, and like everything has.
So we're gonna play like a little game. It's a would you rather questions. All right. The first question: would you rather spend a week at the beach or a week in a forest, and why?
I'd rather spend a week at the beach.
At the beach.
Yeah, I love water.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
just
So you don't
nice.
want to be one with nature.
Yeah, and no, I don't want to be one with nature. I mean, the beach is still nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, and then less clothing, less is more. So I love the beach.
Okay. Second question is, if you are, convicted of a crime with your partner and they say only one of you can live and you have the option to electrocute yourself or your partner, which one would you electrocute?
Yeah. No, that's a terrible question. Oh my God.
It's yourself or your partner.
Okay, so now if I electrocute my partner,
You get to live, yes.
But does that count as murder?
No, you guys were gonna die regardless, but somehow maybe your lawyer worked out that if one of you dies, then it's enough.
Damn.
I know that's not how law works. Before you law people come at me.
That's a tough one. Yo, I think I'll electrocute my partner.
Wow.
Yeah, I think
you still want to live.
I love being alive. I really do.
Okay.
And I know that your gender is very self preserving. So I think if given the option, they would choose to electrocate me too. Like men are very good at putting themselves first, and I'm not mad at it.
Yeah.
Instead, I'm learning from it. So
Okay, last one. Be forever alone or always surrounded by fake people?
Forever alone.
Forever alone. So like loneliness doesn't.
What is that? I laugh at my own jokes. I talk to myself. I'd rather nap. Yeah, I'd rather, it's not nice being in spaces where you constantly having to second guess yourself, like where you have to wonder if people are being genuine. So I'd rather just be alone. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's get back to it. What are some of the negative things you've had to deal with people saying about you, and how do you deal with it?
As it pertains to pole dancing?
On social media, because social media is like, I don't think that's the funny thing. People would never say those awful things to your face, but they'll always, slide a little comment there and there.
Yeah. So I think personally for me, I've never really gotten negative feedback or like people say negative things to me. Solely because I think my following is very small. So yeah,
but some can say it on like the DMs. Maybe they're not even,
yeah, but I think when you have a very small following, it's like, I don't know. I just feel like people are very vile when it's a big following. So personally, I haven't had anyone come for me. The only thing that I find annoying is guys that would just say things like, come dance on my pole and sort of like
But that is negative
sexualize.
things. Yeah.
I guess it's negative. I don't know. Yeah.
Because it's unwarranted. So
Yeah, it's unwarranted. Yeah. So that's quite annoying, especially because it's so hard. You know, it's not it's not a simple thing. Like I say, pole dancing is a very strong practice, and and constantly you just like always working on a skill, and sometimes you even like very self-conscious, you know, and I'm posting for my own like progress to monitor, because sometimes I do like there'll be times where I just go to my stories, my highlights, and I'm like, oh my word, this is how far. I remember I used to struggle with this move and now I've got it. So it's for myself, it's for either, again, like I said, I'm trying to normalize it, encourage more women to do it so that if they, you know, for me, quite frankly, I get a lot of people say like, damn, I remember when you started, it's been from both men and women, you know, and some women saying like, wow, I really want to start this, like they can see what it does for me and they really appreciate that. So
overwhelmingly positive.
Yes, it's usually very positive. So I've never personally experienced, apart from and that irks me. That is an irk, because I'm like, this is not it. Like, if you want that, go to the right place, and also like pay the girls for that. You know, if you want private shows and whatever, there's people who do that and pay them, compensate them. You know what I mean? I'm not that.
You're not that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Are you a chakra person?
I do get called a chakra han.
Yeah.
I do.
I didn't want to use the word han because some people find it.
My friends do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say I'm still very much new. So
do you
I'm
collect like rocks and not rocks, but crystals?
I do have the stones. I do have some of the stones. I do believe in energy. I believe in like blockages in certain centers, but it's not something I'm well versed in. But I definitely do believe in that.
Those things are ridiculously expensive, eh? Yesterday I went to some mall in Pretoria. They have like this crystal whatever thing. So we were just checking it out, and there was this like little
like a
ball. No, it's a brown one. It's like 10,000.
Oh damn!
10,000. I was like, yo.
I think it depends on what you're getting. Some are a little bit on the affordable side, but I mean, I'm still new to it. So sometimes I just wonder, I'm like, is this real? Is it? But ultimately, I believe in, what's the thing that they call in science? Placebo effect. I think that's the most powerful thing. So whatever you believe in, like, that's the thing that's going to stand. Yep. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's not the crystal, but your faith that is actually making things happen. It's not, and I think it applies across all boards, to religion, spirituality, whatever. Like, I think you actually have the power inside of you, and then basically you harness it, and we use these things as a way to harness that power, you know. So if I'm going to believe that this crystal is going to do that, I'm actually the one doing it. But I guess I need a little bit of encouragement. If there's a deity that I want to believe in, whatever religion I'm in, then that deity is helping me harness. But essentially, it's all in me. And I think a lot of like spiritual or religious texts always point back to the fact that you are the one doing it. You know, like even when Jesus was healing people, he says like, no, your faith is what made you whole and whatever. So but if you've got 10K to splurge and you believe that that's your thing, go for it. You know, you just need that thing that will help you harness your superpower. But it's all in you. You don't need anything. I don't know.
And are the people around you supportive of like what you do?
Yes. I really do have like an amazing support system. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Last question. For the people who are watching, what are your last thoughts? You know, some wisdom to impart before, call it a day.
I don't know if it's wisdom. But I think if I had to advise anyone on anything, like a general piece of advice would be just to follow your bliss. You know, like find what it is that makes you happy and do more of that thing. And also, it doesn't have to be one thing. and it could be many things. And also just appreciate that as a person, you're evolving. So something could have made me happy yesterday, and then today it's something different. And where I'm at, that's what makes sense for me. And then that's why I said as well, like, I'm not strictly pole dancing. I'm not strictly yoga. I'm not strictly calisthenics. I look at the people in my circles who are strictly that, and I see how they're progressing much quicker than I am because they have been focusing on one thing. But that's not me, and I think
you can't be that.
and I had to make peace with it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool. No, I'm just like, I'm very much everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, you asked about the chakra stuff. Like, so in what's this? Now I'm forgetting the word, but basically my Venus, which is like how I love, is in Gemini, and Gemini is two-faced. So it's like, it's not two-faced as in like backstabbing.
Yeah,
it's like, it's
I was thinking about that now.
Yeah, people
what
always
do you
think
mean
that,
by
no, but
two-faced?
two-faced in that, like, there's just always different parts to it. You know what I mean? It's very versatile. It's not just like one way of doing things. So wherever my passions and my heart is, it's always like I'm always finding that I find myself in different things.
Sure.
And that keeps me interested. Like, if I'm doing one thing repetitively, I tend to get bored and I check out, So you just know yourself, follow your bliss, and whatever your bliss is, that's your bliss, and it's personal also. Don't listen to me and tell you like, pole dancing is where your bliss is. No, if that's not it, that's okay. If your bliss is at the gym pumping iron, then that's your bliss, and just be unapologetic about it. Just do more of you, do more of the things that make you happy, and just be unapologetic about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, thanks for coming.
Thank you for
this was a
having
very
me.
interesting conversation. There's quite a lot I could have asked you, but I think you put it in a nice
Thank you, Mosiah.
way. But for the people who are watching, I will definitely leave her information so you guys can check it out on the description. But don't forget to like, subscribe, and do all the good YouTube stuff. Peace. Okay.